Welcome to the WCIA 3-in-1 podcast, live from Indianapolis. I'm Bret Beherns here in the WCIA 3 studios. Andy, Olson, Marlee, Wierda are live in Indy outside Lucas Oil Stadium. We'll hear from them coming up in just a couple of moments as Illinois beats Iowa today 82-71, securing its place in tomorrow's Big Ten Tournament Championship game after not winning the regular season championship despite having a 16-4 record. The most wins in the conference. The Illini do get a chance to show they are Big Ten champions tomorrow. They will take on Ohio State after the Buckeyes beat Michigan in the game you saw earlier before Illinois on WCIA. All right, let's get our first check in with Andy and with Marlee over in Indianapolis. Guys, you were there to see the game. Big time environment for the Illini. What's your biggest takeaways from today?
Yeah, big time environment and just some big time plays overall for Illinois. I mean, I know we've talked about it time and time again, just the atmosphere that actually having fans in the arena brings for this team. But I think for me, I got a sense of cohesion with this Illinois team. I saw them connected. They were really in a rhythm, and I think I saw that team culture that Brad Underwood has been trying to instill in this program really reflect itself out on the court tonight. And what a game for Kofi Cockburn in the paint. I mean, really putting the game on his back in a sense, but the Illini had some help as several Illini players contributed to this win. Andy, how about you?
Yeah, it's funny because yesterday we had very different opinions of what happened in the game, or like the things that stuck out to us in the game, because Marlee was watching in the stadium. I was watching on my laptop back at the place that we're staying. And today, you know, I got that same sense about Kofi Cockburn dominating, and that matchup with Luka Garza was just, in my opinion, one of the best things I've seen on a basketball court ever. It was so much fun to watch. We're speaking of Iowa. I mean, Jordan Bohannon had such a big influence on this game that I think was lost in the last time that these two teams played. Iowa did not have a great shooting time behind the arc last time they played in Champaign. So seeing that come out tonight wasn't surprising, or it wasn't a shock, but it was, you knew early on that this was the offensive Iowa that we are used to seeing. Garza's moments as well. He didn't lead the game in points like he has done so many times this year. Kofi Cockburn had the game high 23 points. Ayo Dosunmu found his moments to get involved as well. He had 18 points. Was, I think, the first 4 buckets for Illinois were all off of Ayo Dosunmu assists.
Yeah.
So he had that going for him early in the game. It wasn't just on Ayo's back. But a really nice team performance once again for Illinois. Double-digit victory. Again, we were expecting a closer one today. It was closer than Rutgers, just not a 5.1 possession game or something like that we may have been expecting. And now a matchup with Ohio State tomorrow. We're going to get to that eventually, but another really good team win for Illinois, coming out with a lot of energy once again. And when we talked about the potential that this team has all season long, I think this version of the team that we saw tonight and yesterday was what we were talking about. We didn't see it at too many points during the season because we mentioned that they have that problem with playing down to their opponent, but today was one of the times where we got to see it, their full potential.
And you mentioned Bohannon. I thought he was going to pull away there in the end. He hit that big 3. I kind of felt the energy shift a little bit in the arena, and I thought Iowa was going to make it a game there. But then, you know, the Illini responded. It was an Andre Curbelo dive for the ball, dishes it out to Ayo Dosunmu, and a dunk here. And then there was a big Trent Frazier steal at the end, which I think kind of put the game on ice there. But needless to say, Brett, another really big win for Illinois as they head to the finals for the first time in more than a decade.
Yeah, it's been since 2008. Here's how it looks on paper as the stat sheet. Illinois 82-71, improving now to 22-6 on the season. That now surpasses last year's win total. They tied that yesterday. Now they have that all alone, and this is one of the best teams really since 2005. I know we've been saying that a lot, but now it solidifies it with that 22nd win on the season as the Illini continue to impress today. They hold Luka Garza, and I say hold. He still had 21 points and 12 rebounds. A great game for him, but Kofi outplays him once again.
It feels like holding him, though.
Yeah, exactly. When he's the National Player of the Year last year and probably going to be that again, although I think there's more of a case for that now that maybe he's not quite as deserving of that when Kofi outplays him a couple of times. Only 8 rebounds for Kofi, but it does put up a game-high 26 points. Ayo Dosunmu has 18 points, 9 assists, 7 rebounds, flirting with that triple-double watch again. A quieter game for Trent Frazier with just 9 points, but Grandison stepped in, I thought, okay, had that big alley-oop, which was fun to see. 4 points from him, and then Andre Curbelo with 12 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists. And I thought Andre Curbelo overall was a huge difference maker in this game for what he was able to bring to the table. And we've seen this several times this year, but I kind of forget sometimes that this kid's just a freshman because he's so poised in the post-game press conference, guys. Just what are your thoughts on Andre Curbelo's performance, not only today, but especially after yesterday coming back, being able to do what he did today? And do you lose sight as well that he's just a freshman?
Yeah, Brad Underwood likes to use that cliche. The best thing about freshmen is that they become sophomores. I can't imagine what this kid is going to look like as a sophomore if this is his first year playing college basketball. I think yesterday maybe the lights and having fans in the arena may have gotten the best of him, but he's said time and time again that he likes playing in these big moments, and I think he showed out today. I mean, a couple big dunks, big steals. He's just such a fun player to watch. I mean, his passes are absolutely magical, just ridiculous. Like, you don't know how he pulls that out. At one point, it was the pass to Ayo for the dunk, I recall, and the whole arena just gasped. Like, it went silent for like a millisecond, and then the play continued. But he's incredible to watch. I think he has just a sense of maturity about him, and I think really he's making his way towards becoming a new face of the program. Because right now I feel like they're still living in the shadow a bit of Ayo Dosunmu and Kofi Cockburn, but I can't imagine what the future is going to look like with this kid.
If you had the over on Andre Curbelo dunks today, you probably won big money, because I don't know if anyone was expecting him to go up not just once but twice in the game. And you could tell that what you said there, Marlee, Andre Curbelo possibly becoming the new face of this Illinois program. When he has performances like that, it's hard to doubt. But when I go through Twitter and I see Iowa fans, or just, rival Big Ten institution fans, talking about how much they're already disliking Andre Curbelo because he's so good against them. And you get that. If he's on your team, you love him. If he's on another team, he's so annoying to watch because he can just do whatever he wants. We saw that again today. We saw that in those performances in the regular season when Ayo Dosunmu was out. Andre was having some great games. We saw why he was named 6th man of the year. They were talking about that on the broadcast. How does a freshman not win freshman of the year but win 6th man of the year? We saw it today because Andre Curbelo has a very crucial role coming off the bench. He's not a hard hitter usually when it comes to putting up shots. He put up, it seemed like a heat check 3. I don't know if he was on fire at that point, though. He missed it, but we know that he's not a shooter. He has to get underneath the basket and get those free layups that he's so good at creating space for, with help from Kofi Cockburn or Georgi Bashanishvili, getting that room, because they set some picks for him. He's able to find some room underneath the basket, which is why he's able to get 12 points in a game like we saw tonight. I'm honestly surprised he only had 3 assists because we know him as a guy that's creating for everyone else. And tonight, he took it upon himself to go after the ball, get some boards, put up points as well. And he left it to his teammates to take care of getting shots to other people.
Yeah, I was impressed with his rebounding, especially against size like Luka Garza. But you mentioned the frustration that the opposing team has in watching him. There were some Hawkeye fans sitting behind me, and they just absolutely hated him. I mean, like, every possession, they were like, "It's a travel." Like, they do not like this kid. As you mentioned, Andy is sometimes
huge
frustrating.
Compliment.
Yeah,
huge compliment.
I thought he did have a couple travels. That dunk, the first dunk he had, he took about 8 steps. But that's, okay. They didn't call it. That's fine.
That's why we're not the refs.
Yeah, right. Here's Andre after the game on those moments and being a everyday guy, as they call it, going up and being scrappy and doing the things that Brad Underwood wants.
That's what Illinois is all about, man. Everyday guys just got to do it every day. Dive on the floor. That's what makes Illinois special, man. The little things is what makes Illinois special. And a lot of credit to the coaches, especially Underwood. He's always on our ass about that, and what better moment to do it now? It's that time of the year. It's March. There's no, tomorrow. There's none of that. So it's the little things, and like I said, that's what makes Illinois basketball special.
That's Andre Curbelo with a picture there Marlee took of the team standing together. And the question was asked afterwards from both you, Marlee, and a couple other people as well, how much that culture means, that these guys are friends off the court, that they communicate on the court, their physical touch. And I know it's a little corny, and that's the word Brad Underwood used as well, but I think there's something to that this team has connectivity that maybe other teams don't, especially teams in the past that haven't had. And this team is special in that sense. There's just a difference, whether it's Georgie, Andre, a mix of all of them, Io leading it, being the lead guy there and being the charge behind it all. But I just feel like this team is getting to that other level, that they are national title contenders at this point. I know we've been saying that, guys, but I feel like these performances, when they back up one another, when Illinois has now won 12 out of 13 and doing the things against high major opponents, it's in my eyes right now, Gonzaga, Baylor, I guess they lost, and Illinois. Illinois might be a two-line, Andy, Marlee.
Yeah, we were talking about that before we got on here, Brett. If Illinois wins tomorrow, and I put this tweet out there, I think they jump Baylor, who lost in the quarterfinals of the Big 12 tournament. If they lose, I think are solidly above Michigan now after the Wolverines lost to Ohio State today. But that's going to be really fun to look out for on Selection Sunday. Of course, I don't think it's guaranteed that they move above Baylor, but I think they can make a good case for it after the Bears have lost a couple of games here down the stretch, one against Kansas, now one against Oklahoma State. So it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, of course, they would love to get as high as they can go, because then you get weaker opponents, of course, because that's the way that they're seeding teams this season. So, Marlee, this team clearly is playing for a title, but you can tell how much the Big Ten title means to them as well. And don't forget that Iowa's a top 5 team. This was an AP top 5 matchup today. Iowa may be the 3rd seed in the Big Ten tournament, but they're also the 5th team in the country. So when you're able to go and do that, I think that sends a message to the rest of the country.
Yeah, and it looked like they were having fun. I mean, this is a playoff game. There's a lot at stake. They're playing for a trophy, so much more. Kind of their seeding here in the NCAA tournament, and they just looked like they were having fun. Like they weren't tense, they were loose. And going back to the picture that you mentioned, Brett, that I took, I mean, it was just the first time that I really felt a sense of the connectivity, of this team. And I think that speaks volumes to where a program can go if a team is connected and has a team chemistry like that. I think it really does make a big difference in a game, and it's fun to see everyone contribute. I mean, I guess a slow night for Ayo Dosunmu, we would call it. I mean, he still scored in double figures, 18 points, but he was spreading the wealth, Andy, as you mentioned, with some of those assists early on. So if this team can stay where they're at right now, just on this hot streak, and I know they're feeling the love from Illini Nation. You can tell that they get a sense of that. So as the car speeds by us, sorry, I don't know if you heard me on that, but yeah, so just as I was saying, I think they can really do some damage in the postseason. I think because they are playing for so much. Yes, they're in the national conversation right now. Yes, they're one of the top teams in the country, but I think at the end of the day, they're still kind of the underdogs after last season was swept under the rug from them, and they're trying to prove themselves and get Illinois really back on the map if they haven't done so already.
Yeah, and I think they play better with that underdog role. We talked about that on the pregame show the last couple of days. If this team is going to be the hunter, I think they're going to come out tomorrow with that same mindset that, hey, Ohio State beat us earlier in the year in Champaign. Tomorrow's game will settle the season score between the Buckeyes and Illini. And it was just, a little more than a week ago when they played and Illinois beat Ohio State on its home court 73-68. And some late Io heroics once again won in the game there, and so we'll see tomorrow as Illinois plays for a Big Ten tournament title for just the 7th time since 1998 when the conference tournament started, and they've only won it twice. So they're 2-4 coming into tomorrow in these championship games, and I'm not going to pick against Illinois at this point because I think they're playing so well. They've shown that they're so deep, and they've done it in different ways. We even saw Benjamin Bosmans Verdonk in the game today, which kind of surprised me when he got in there. I know he only played for 3 minutes, but I was like, whoa,
yeah.
BBV's in the game, and when you can get
BBV
20 minutes from DeMonte Williams, and when Georgie, I thought wasn't great, but it was a bad mismatch with Luka Garza, but contributed a little bit in 13 minutes, and I thought Grandison, even though he only scored 4 points, thought Jacob Grandison played a role. And I think that's the most important thing today is that they're secure, they're locked in on the roles. This team knows who they are, and I think they're executing it at a high level because they know who they are, and there's no fear. They go out and own the moment, and the moment's not too big for them. I don't think it'll be that way tomorrow either. All right, I know we all wanted to see Illinois and Michigan. The Wolverines fall to the Buckeyes in the first semifinal game today. You saw on WCIA. What do you make of this matchup tomorrow, guys, with Ohio State? Who does it favor? They are going to miss Kyle Young, who's out with a concussion. He didn't play today, and he will not go tomorrow. I think that's got to help Illinois, especially down low, but we've seen E.J. Liddell be a mismatch problem for them.
Hey, and I think because Ohio State was the last game of the regular season for Illinois, they headed into the postseason with 2 big wins against Michigan and the Buckeyes. I think this will be a good one because that was a really close game. It's kind of what you want to see in college basketball. Of course, I'm not taking anything away from the Michigan win. I mean, that was just complete dominance on their end. But at this point, I think I'm a little tired of seeing the blowouts. I want to see maybe a late game situation really come down to the wire like it was today against Michigan and Ohio State. I think the Buckeyes, I watched like the last 5 minutes or so, and they, did a really good job. Seemed like they wanted it a little bit more, maybe. Maybe Michigan had kind of slept on them a little bit, but here they are heading to the Big Ten finals, and they'll get a really good Illinois team.
Yeah, Michigan just let Ohio State get out to too big of a lead there. I know the Wolverines ended the game on an 11-1 run, I want to say. And Ohio State had that big lead over Purdue as well in the quarterfinals that they let slip and then went into overtime with the Boilermakers. So we've seen in the last 2 days, Ohio State struggling to hold on to those leads. So I think if you're Illinois, this is probably the matchup that you wanted. I think Michigan, we know how good they are, and we know how badly Illinois beat them when they were in Ann Arbor. But I think if you had to choose one, you'd want to see Ohio State in the game tomorrow if you're an Illinois fan. Maybe not as a neutral. It would have been a fun time to see Illinois-Michigan again, like Bret had mentioned before. But Ohio State, we've seen play well and play not so well in the tournament so far this year. So we'll see which one comes out tomorrow. I think Illinois has played well for almost all 80 minutes that they've been out here. I don't know if you can find a stretch where they really were not playing
like
super well.
Maybe
a minute, exactly. But they have been, all gas, no brakes since they got off the buses. And I would expect that to continue tomorrow, but we'll save actual predictions until the pregame show then. Yeah. That's what we call a tease, Bret.
Speaking of the bus, that bus that we saw coming by today, bus was all gas, no brakes. Illinois was ready to play today, and it started with the bus driver. I'll tell you that
I just got a piece of it as the cameraman going by. We'll see if we can get it tomorrow, too.
Hey, you did get it,
The
Andy.
bus driver, 6th man of the year.
Yeah, right. I saw the camera swing around there on the pregame show. You were all over it, and they were taking no prisoners getting to the stadium there. That you weren't going to hold anything back. And I think we've heard this team say that, didn't we? We've had an all gas, no brakes, if I remember right. Was it Andre, Marlee?
It might have been Andre. I kind of think it might have been Underwood.
Was it?
It might have been
I
Underwood.
can't remember. There's been too many.
Because I think he was like all gas, no brakes, next onto the. I think it was when he was asked a question, just about celebrating the win, and he may have said something like, "Oh, well, it doesn't matter, all gas, no brakes, we're going full force." Yeah, it was definitely Underwood.
That's his team influencing him with that youth slang.
Yeah.
All gas, no brakes.
You got to keep up with the kids. That's what I always say. That's trying to keep up. Just 33-year-old, just trying to keep up with you guys. Keep up with the kids.
We're trying to help you as best we can, Bret.
All right. Hey, look, I appreciate that. Final thoughts, guys, from Indianapolis as we head into tomorrow and what is going to be a memorable day to the end of the quote-unquote regular season here for Illinois before we head into the NCAA tournament next week.
I mean, when you think about it, this is the biggest stage that Illinois has played on. I mean, just for this team, the guys on this team, ever. I think for Brad Underwood, for Ayo Dosunmu, for the freshmen, for even transfers like Jacob Grandison who have postseason experience, I think this is just the highest pedestal that they've been on yet. I mean, they've shown time and time again that they can rise to the occasion. So it'll be really exciting to see how they perform in the biggest moment of the season so far.
Yeah, we've seen Brad Underwood do this with other institutions, making it to 4 straight NCAA tournaments before coming to Illinois. And we saw him win big games in the NCAA tournament, but I imagine tomorrow may be up there with some of his most anticipated games of his career. We know how much he loves Illinois, wanted to come here to coach, left Oklahoma State after only 1 season. Speaking of OSU, not a team that you probably want to see right now in the NCAA tournament, but we'll talk about that in the preview show, I'm sure. But I imagine that these guys are going to be ready for that game tomorrow. I know Illini Nation is going to be ready for that game tomorrow. We've already mentioned it's been since 2008 since they've even been in a Big Ten tournament title game. They haven't won one since 2005. So I can't imagine what's going to be going through their minds tomorrow. We talk about how young this team was, how they really missed out on the experience last season because we know they were going to the NCAA tournament then. I was adding up everyone who has postseason experience before we came here to Indianapolis, and the player with the most postseason games before this Big Ten tournament started was Jacob Grandison, who had 4 games, none of them the NCAA tournament, and they all came when he was at Holy Cross. So not a lot of postseason experience on this team. You can imagine what they're feeling and how ready they are to finally get a big stage like tomorrow to win on.
It's going to be fun, guys. Appreciate everything from Indianapolis. Get some rest. Be well. Got more coming up, though. Tonight on the newscast at 10 o'clock, we will hear from Andy and Marlee. Guys, thank you. Enjoy the rest of your night, and we will see you on the news and then once again on the pregame show tomorrow, which will be live at 1 o'clock on these same digital channels. Can't wait to bring you a Big Ten tournament title game preview show. Derek Piper will join Marlee Wierda live from Indianapolis. I will be here in studio previewing Illinois, the 2nd seed, and Ohio State, the 5th seed in the Big Ten tournament. One will get that automatic bid, and Illinois potentially playing for that number 2 overall seed in the NCAA tournament, which starts next week. Thanks so much for watching. This audio version will be on the WCIA3 podcast as well. All of your favorite podcast players, you can look for it there and listen to it once again. Thanks so much for watching. Be well. We'll see you tomorrow right here at 1 o'clock for the WCIA3 pregame show with me, Marlee, and Derek. Good night.